Very good evening to everyone, and we are here with yet another session. And always we say the sessions will be different, but when the session will be taken by a student, and as a student, the perspective how she relates to the subject what you study in your 5.5 years, or you are studying naturopathy. So her aspect of taking this topic and the different approach towards a simple and the basic topic that would really inspire all of us. And I hope the session will be very good. And On Your Growth is collaborating with her new approach of Cure Antigua Instagram page. And that is so new to all of us. If you follow her, you will get to know how she approaches every day with new things. And I hope this new approach will give inspiration to myself and everyone who will watch her work through her Instagram. And I hope this small introduction of Aditi Garg from final year student from SDM College of Naturopathic and Medical Sciences, Ujre, Karnataka. This small introduction will on our platform. Thank you so much to come on our platform. Thank you, Aditi.
I thank you, Bhavit sir, for calling me here, and I congratulate you for this new venture on your growth. And I'm very happy to be here. So today we are talking about a very hot topic, which is vaccination. It is a hot topic in the world, not only in India, because of this COVID pandemic. And also, it is a very confusing topic, I would say, for naturopaths, because traditional naturopaths said vaccination is not good. So today we will see into a few facts and let us decide and let us come to a conclusion, or at least think about it, uh, about this topic, which is very famous nowadays. So I hope my screen is visible. Um, are vaccines the ultimate solution? So as I told you, because of this COVID, we are seeing a lot of things happening. There are many trials going on, and we're all eagerly waiting for the vaccine. And on the other hand, if we see few newspapers and the news, uh, recently Ayush Ministry and Government of India has said that yoga, Chyawanprash, and also pranayama is the new government protocol for recovered COVID-19 patients. And world now feeling need for yoga more than ever. It's helping COVID patients defeat disease, said by Narendra Modi. There is another news saying yoga efficacy in early recovery of COVID patients is being studied. So there are a lot of news going on about yoga and naturopathy and its contribution in this COVID pandemic. You may have seen these announcements, these news, and there are a lot more going on which doesn't even comes in news, such as few South Indian states, such as like Tamil Nadu, Kerala. They are doing naturopathy and yoga treatments for COVID patients, and they are seeing very good results. So I'm asking you a question: are you fully convinced that uh, yoga and naturopathy can help in these situations? And there is another question: are we fully equipped? Do you think you can answer the question posed to you? Because as a student of naturopathy and yoga, I have been asked a lot of questions about immunity, how to increase it, and does yoga actually help it? And if yes, then how? I am sure you must have been asked these questions before. But are we ready to answer these questions? Now, in the starting of the session, I have a few questions and few brainstorming questions, I would rather say. Maybe few of you have answers to these, few of you doesn't have answer to these, but at least the starting of the brainstorming helps us. I'm telling you, it actually transforms the way we think. The first question is, what is the role of naturopaths in situations like this? The second is, are we equipped enough? Are we ready to answer the questions? Or are we fully convinced ourselves that vaccination should not be given, as said by the traditional naturopaths? And what do you think is a more permanent solution, vaccination or a good immunity? To deny something, we must know about it completely. So let us understand about vaccination and immunity one by one. If you have seen these pictures before, this is Sir Edward Jenner, the first one who actually discovered vaccine for smallpox. Vaccine is considered one of the biggest discoveries in medical science. Before it, infectious disease such as pertussis, rubella, smallpox, they were main childhood killers. And disease like polio also lead to major childbirth defects. Now, many children used to die because of these infections itself. Even if they managed to survive, the life expectancy was as low as less than 50 years. So vaccination was, considered one of the major discoveries and a boon to humankind. It is not a surprise it was considered because, life is very important. We'll think of side effects and everything, after we are living, right? First, we should live, and only then we can think about those things. So imagine a time where there were so many infectious disease that people just wanted to live. And then comes vaccine, and it actually made you live and also increase the life expectancy. So obviously it is considered one of the boon. If you see these pandemics before, COVID is one of the pandemics, and there were many like this before, such as Justinian plague, where 100 million deaths occurred, bubonic plague, which is also called as the Black Death, and 1/3 of human population died during that. Spanish influenza, 50 to 100 million deaths, and the list actually goes on. So there was a decrease in infectious disease after this vaccine was invented. There are actually three major factors. Number one is hygiene. Number two is vaccination. And number three is antibiotics. Now, what is the problem with antibiotics is that because of its improper usage, a lot of people actually developed antibiotic resistance. Also, it is specific to one strain. So if it changes, and it is very, very specific to only one thing. So if it changes over time, it doesn't affect us as it should do, which is also called as resistance. And vaccination, on the other hand, has a multi-target immune system response that is capable of eradicating infections on a large scale. So vaccination was a promising solution to many infectious disease. And it also actually helped eradicating infections on a large scale. If we see from the starting of vaccination, when it was formulated for smallpox to today's, it has changed a lot. At that time, if anyone had cowpox, they were actually immunized for smallpox. This was a very simple idea before vaccination. But after that, there came different kinds of vaccines such as toxoid, cell culture, recombinant DNA, and they all work differently. Then in 2010 to 2020, that is 2 decades, a new branch was introduced, that is reverse vaccinology. Now, it actually targeted on particular cells of immune system, and it studied them completely so that it can affect them and then make things happen. Now, how does actually vaccines work? Now, vaccines imitate the infection without causing the adverse effects and develops acquired immunity to a given infection. Now, this is what it is supposed to do. It is supposed to create a scenario like infection without causing an adverse effect and making us immunized so that if another time this infection occurs, we can fight with it. So it occurs in 3 steps. We have all heard it. We all know it already. T cell formation, B cell activation and antibody formation, and memory cells formation. So just we'll understand it. When a foreign body comes, or even if vaccination, we take vaccination, T cells are formed against that, and the helper T cells activate the B cells, B lymphocytes, which form the antibodies. And at the end of the war, there are few B cells and T cells which are left, called the memory cells. So when another time this same pathogen comes, this B and T cells will fight with it directly. If we see the types of vaccine, they are live or attenuated. And people with weak immunity should not be given these types of vaccines. Inactivated, such as polio, multiple doses are required for it. Toxoid, which is toxin of the particular parasite or microorganism. And example DETA, then subunit, where parts of the organism are used and they have less side effects because toxin is not used. And at last is conjugate. So I'm mentioning here a note which says, according to the germ theory of disease and basic principles of naturopathy, a germ can cause a disease if given proper soil. Now, this is very important. Even Louis Pasteur, when he did his experiments, he mentioned that there should be a proper medium and there should be proper nutrition for the germs to prosper there and to invade our body. Now, what do we mean by the soil? We mean the environment. For anything to live, they need some basic amenities. For example, we need food, shelter, clothes. The same way, this organism needs something. And if our body provides it, it will stay inside us and cause disease. If it doesn't, it will not cause disease. It is as simple. Now, in the previous slides, we have referred to what vaccination is, how it started, how it works, and what is its types. Now, let us move on to immunity. We have heard about this word a lot in this lockdown and due to this COVID. And we have some knowledge here and there, some half knowledge or something about it inside our minds. But let us understand it. Immunity is of two types, that is innate and acquired. Innate is present at birth, you are born with it. And it was before thought that it is not specific to any particular organism, but recent studies have shown that it is also specific, a little bit less than acquired, but we can't say it is non-specific. So as you can see in the flow chart, innate is specific and non-specific, both types. Then comes the acquired. Now we are born with innate immunity. What innate immunity includes? It includes the saliva in your mouth. Your saliva has lysozymes, which actually kills the bacteria, and it prevents the bacteria to enter into your GI tract. The same goes with your skin. Your skin has some mechanical barrier, which prevents organism to invade into your body. Same goes with the respiratory tract, GI tract. There are few things which actually prevent the entrance of the organism inside the body. Now, this is what is called innate immunity. Now comes acquired. Acquired immunity is what we develop after birth. Starting from the birth, we get, we can say we get, yeah. So starting from the birth, we see the vaginal microorganisms of the mother, and then our own GI system microorganisms. So we get in contact with them and we develop immunity from them. So this is what is called as acquired immunity. It goes on along with the life till our death. So it can be of different types such as passive and active. The passive ones is natural and artificial. Natural is what we get from placenta, what we get from colostrum or the mother's milk. Artificial is the administration of antitoxins, antisera, or immunoglobulins. Now, nowadays, we can also give ready-made antibodies. Now, that is what comes in artificial passive acquired immunity. Now comes the active one. Active is what we develop ourselves. In that, natural is when some infection occurs and we develop immunity towards it. The second one is artificial. Now, this is where immunization and vaccination comes. What it does, without getting infection, we develop the active immunity. So if we see this, we have learned a lot about vaccination is good. I have told you a lot of times it is boon to medicine, it is boon to humans. Then where did it all went wrong? I have a few questions for you. Who controls the healthcare system? We have developed a lot of fear, and this fear is being utilized by many businessmen. We do not believe in our own body. So many new infections are coming every day, and we cannot take vaccines for all of them, right? And even older strains are mutating. So we cannot rely just on the vaccines. We believe in the extraordinary and unrealistic benefits of vaccines because we have not been shown the side effects and the little bit here and there outbreaks happening because of it. So this is, I want to share with you all, the discoverer of vaccine and the people who make vaccine, they do not say it is the ultimate, permanent solution to all the infections or the infection they are making it for. Vaccines also have side effects, and there are a lot of things seen, such as outbreaks because of polio vaccine, also neurodegenerative disorders caused in children due to vaccines. So we cannot say they do not have side effects. But I have referred a lot of research papers while making this presentation, and what I saw common in them that most of them were actually funded by pharma companies. So I do not know how much we can rely on these kind of research papers because there is a lot of chances of bias. These pharma companies are not showing the adverse effects or the side effects of these vaccines, and they're not showing the outbreaks, but they're highlighting the good benefits. I'm not saying vaccines are not good. They have helped humankind. I have mentioned it before also. But what we need to understand is that who controls the healthcare system, who is actually overemphasizing and showing the unrealistic benefits of vaccines, and who is inoculating the fear inside us. This fear of not being ill, or this fear is actually being taken advantage by the businessmen. So what is in our hands? And even when I say, okay, if we take if we keep vaccination on the side, we take immunity, we say that if you have good immune system, you won't get infections. And I told you about innate immunity. So why some people get infected and some does not? There may be some factors determining it, that okay, this person will get infected and this will not. Remember, I mentioned a note before where I said, according to germ theory of disease and basic principles of naturopathy, a germ can cause a disease if given proper environment. So this environment, this soil is in our hands. Even if we talk about present COVID situation, people having weakened innate immunity due to age or maybe presence of comorbid conditions, etc., were more susceptible to adverse infection. We have heard COVID is actually infecting people more with comorbid condition, and actually these people are the ones which are actually dying. So other factors which also include immunosuppressed state, which may be due to drugs or malnutrition. So this is what is in our hands. If you see the presentation, I have mentioned the soil and environment has all these factors. First is malnutrition, or we can say undernutrition. Now, by undernutrition, I do not mean to say people having food only those people who are having food with poor nutrition. People having junk food, people having food with more calories and zero nutrition are also undernourished. The other one is age factors. People, children and old people are more prone to infections. They have lowered immunity, so they have this environment. They provide this environment for the pathogen to invade their body. Other one is comorbidity. If already a person has a comorbid condition, their body is not healthy, and unhealthy body means weakened immune system, because only not only one function is altered, the whole function of the body is altered because of any disease. Other one is immunosuppressed state. Many drugs what we take today have this they actually suppress the immune system. Even if we take an example of antifungal drugs, they also suppress your immune system. So we may knowingly or unknowingly are taking these immunosuppressive drugs. The other one is fear and psychological factors. This is a very underrated factor which is actually helpful in causation of disease. If you have this feeling that I am sick, I am not well, and you have stress, you have all kind of psychological factors, it will lead you to disease. The last is lowered innate immunity or resistance. So if we have lowered innate immunity, by that I mean, maybe HCl is not producing properly, or the factors, skin has abrasion or something. It also is actually allowing the organism to invade inside the body. So these are few factors. Now, nowadays, this immunity business is, flooding actually. You see here, I have mentioned there is a Chyawanprash ice cream, which actually mentions to boost immunity. Boosted immunity with real juice. And I'm not taking the name of brands, but let's just see this. And they have added immunity word in each and every stuff, including bread, oils, there are some supplements, even ice cream. I'm really shocked to see this. And juices, which are actually not juices, they are just water and sugar. So do not be prey to such kind of businesses, because as we have discussed, what will actually help to boost this immunity is working on all these factors. I will take up all of these one by one. Number one is malnutrition. For preventing malnutrition or undernutrition, one should have a good nutritious diet, which should include seasonal foods and a proper balanced diet. Age factors. So we cannot change age, right? But we can take extra precautions for particular age groups. So that should be done. Comorbidities. If one has comorbidities and they're taking particular medications, then proper measures should be taken so that they do not compensate on their immunity. Fear and psychological factors. For this, there is a term called as psychoneuroimmunology, which shows the connection between brain and immune system. We have all heard about connection between gut and brain, but there is a connection in brain and immune system also. Our emotions also affect our immune system. So, balancing those emotions, having a control over those emotions will actually help us having a good immune system. At last is lowered innate immunity or resistance. So for that, I'm going to give you few tips and what we can do as naturopaths, what we can teach to public. We're going to talk about it now. See, this is very important. Right now, we have four kind of people in our country, or we can say in the whole world. I've seen this. Number one is sitting idle and waiting for the vaccine. Now, they are not doing anything. They are taking COVID lightly, and they are just sitting there and waiting for the vaccine. The second one are overconscious people who are buying all kind of antimicrobial detergents and everything, and they are just cleaning the whole day. Number three is prey to these kind of advertisements who are actually eating breads and oils and everything else in the market, which has this immunity word, and they're just consuming it. Number fourth is following every advice they're getting without knowing it properly. Now, I have experienced it in this pandemic. Every person I meet gives me some advice. And if I start following each and everything, then I'll be ending up doing that only from morning to evening. So believe me, being afraid or the fear of getting ill won't help us. But getting proper information and making wise, informed decisions is what is important. So what is our role as naturopaths? I have asked you this question in the starting. Now, our role is number one, preventing the soil formation. That is, we should prevent the environment. We should not give the pathogen environment, proper environment, so that it can come inside, invade, and cause disease. So, how we can do it? By managing the environmental factors within the body. Number second is maintenance of innate immunity. Number third is educating about the importance of innate immunity and a healthy body for proper functioning of immune system. Now, I have seen people taking all kind of supplements and kadas and everything, but they are at the end, they're not sleeping properly, they're not eating properly, they're not exercising. So just having the supplements won't help you. And maintenance of innate immunity is really important and easy. Get it from God for free. You have to just maintain it. You do not have to do any effort to gain it as such. Number fourth is educating people so that fear goes away and they take informative, wise decisions for themselves. So, my fellow naturopaths, we have this opportunity to educate people, also contribute in this pandemic by doing all these things and by helping people. Now, we need to be clear what is our role and what we can do. So what our approach should include is maintaining the natural commensals or flora. So maintaining the flora of gut is important. We have heard this. There are a lot of researches going on this topic, and it is one of the hot topics of research in the last 5 years. We know maintaining the floral, gut flora is important for our brain, for our emotions, for our immunity, for everything else. But the flora of our mouth, which it also has natural commensals. Commensal is actually the microorganisms which should be present there. So there is a set of microorganisms which should be present in the mouth for optimum function, and it actually prevents the invasion of the bacteria. Same goes with the urinary tracts. So a lot of urinary tract infections are actually occurring because of this disturbance in the natural commensals there. How we are causing the disturbance? By using excessive products, by keeping excessive hygiene. Yes, believe me, if we are using sanitizers or we are using chemicals a lot there, it actually disturbances the natural commensals. So our approach should include usage of minimum chemicals and minimum hygiene products to areas such as mouth and urinary tract and even gut. Now about gut, we are taking a lot of antibacterial medicines without any prescriptions. We're taking antibiotics without any prescriptions. If we get fever, we just go to the chemist and ask for antibiotics and eat it. Believe me, this over usage and improper usage of antibiotics have disturbed the commensals of or the flora of the gut and has caused a lot of disorders. Apart from it, it has also caused antimicrobial resistance or antibiotic resistance too. The second one is proper nutrition. I talked about it. A proper nutrition should include a balanced diet without excluding carbs and fats. People are just restricting carbs and fats without taking proper guidance from a doctor and just by themselves. So it should not be done because they're also part of our nutrition and they are also needed. Then comes a psychoneuroimmunology. So we can have this approach to people where we tell them that their emotions are also linked with the immune system, and we can include a yoga and meditation to decrease the fear and psychological factors for which are actually affecting the immunity. Many of us are not infected, but even me, I had stress and I was also panicked because of this condition. From the past 6 months, we are in a constant fear that what if I get it? It also affects your immunity, and it is also one of the factors of lowered immunity. So one should include yoga and meditation, and we should educate them to do this. Then food supplements. Now I am referring food supplements and not the synthetic supplements. Please, do not prefer synthetic supplements over food supplements. Of course, if you need them immediately and it is an emergency condition and your doctor has prescribed you, so you can do that. But I have seen people taking supplements without making any changes to their diet, where they can take all those nutrition from the food itself. So food supplements of zinc, vitamin C, vitamin B12, especially for the elderly and people which are already on medications. People who are taking medications from a lot of years have deficiencies to vitamins and minerals. So they should be given proper care and their food should include all these. I have mentioned here before when I was talking about when I was talking about the immunity business. Here you can see vitamin C gummies, which boost the immune system. Now, it is not very difficult to actually eat lemon instead of these gummies. So again, I'm telling you, food supplements should be as natural as possible. These are the short-term approaches what we include in a protocol, what we can teach to general public, what we can teach to COVID patients or who are actually prone to COVID, or I'm just talking in general. But what is the long-term solution? Measures should be taken from the birth itself, such as ensuring mother's milk to the child. As I told before, it provides passive immunity, and it is very, very important. So it should be taken care from the starting itself because immunity develops from the starting itself. It is a lifelong process and not just a step. So we cannot, we have all started thinking about immunity, thinking about, how to maintain our immunity after the pandemic arrived. And if we think that what we do today will have effect tomorrow, it is not possible. It is a lifelong process and we keep on doing this, only then we'll have a good immunity. If if you think, okay, today infection came, maybe from today I'll start doing all these things and I'll be saved. Maybe you will, but we cannot ensure it. Healthy lifestyle with good sleep patterns, stress management, good nutrition should always be kept in mind. And of course, your mental status is equally important. So, what is the take home message, or what is actually the conclusion of this whole talk? Vaccination has solved many of our problems, but it is not the permanent solution to all, because there are a lot of infections which will come in the near future. I just pray to God they should not come, but it is the harsh reality. What we see today, a lot of infections which will actually come, and we cannot just wait for the vaccination for all of them. We should do what we can do and what is in our hands. Even for a vaccine to work, one should have a good immunity, and this is a very important fact. Malnutrition children and children with lowered immunity should not be given vaccination, because they can develop infection just with the small amount of germs present in vaccine. So for a vaccine to work also, you should have a good immunity. So just think how much important it is to have a good immunity. While you're waiting for the vaccine, work on your immunity so that the vaccine actually works for you. A germ causes disease only in the presence of suitable environment, and we as naturopaths can prevent this soil formation and this proper environment. We can prevent from our body to giving to this pathogen. And after all, having good immunity is a more permanent solution to the upcoming infections too. So we naturopaths have a very great role today, and we should take this opportunity to teach people, to educate people, and help the society. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this time was worth it and you took some message from my talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditi. I think so. It was a very not new sessions to all of us, but very energizing and very innovative, insightful, I can say. So, two questions are there with me. If you permit me, I'll just ask with you. And it
Yes,
was
sure,
very
sure.
basic. What was the idea behind when you started this Cure Integral? Like your basic idea, like first thought that I should do these kind of works to aware everyone, not even naturopath students or doctors, but each and every people. So, what was your idea?
So actually, my journey started with the first of all, I thought maybe I am not, I do not have that much knowledge to teach people. But then I started this page with the thinking that I will share whatever I have and I will share my journey, because I am also learning new things every day. Whenever I think of something, I research it for the posts or for Instagram, but I learn a lot of things from it. And with the help of that, I have reached to a lot of people, and I've understood myself better, and what my understanding of naturopathy and yoga is better. So the basic idea was actually spreading knowledge and sharing my journey. I won't say educating people, because I don't think so I am at that level of educating people, but sharing my journey and my knowledge, whatever I have.
So whatever you have, it's like be first you be yourself and then make others, if possible, in your community. And this be and make is a very small sentence, I can say, but this will change the whole aspects of thinking. And if every student of our community thinks in that perspective, I hope we will change our community very soon to a very big level. And that's what we are requiring in this globe to stand somewhere. And my second question is to you, that is through the presentation. If I am a doctor or if I am an intern and I have to work in a clinic, there are many patients come in the clinic, and we as a intern or a doctor, we used to touch the patient because that's our first priority, that we approach to the patient. And by that we have this COVID pandemic, and after every patient reached to us, I myself used to use sanitizer as an intern. So what was your turn, like if I have seen 30 patients a day in OPD or 40 patients a day, so 40 times I'll use a sanitizer, which is a chemical. I know it's not good for my health and for my the germs which is required for my body, but still I do that. So what was your take on that perspective?
See, I cannot say you should not use sanitizer because that is what a government protocol says. But personally, I believe that if my body is fine, if my immunity is fine, even if a germ enters, it won't do anything, because even in a family, you can see three people may have COVID, the fourth one is not having because they have a better resistance. So I cannot say not to follow the protocol of government because that one has to do. It is a public protocol. But personally, I do not think there is a need for that. Obviously, before this pandemic also, we used to wash our hands before touching a patient. Wash our hands with a normal soap or something. That is a proper hygiene procedure. But if you think, if your patient is comfortable and if you are comfortable, I do not think there is a need of that.
That's what I was looking for. If I am an introvert student or you are an introvert student, you should look for yourself first. And if you are good, very good enough, you can change the community also, change the perspective of others also, because you have done with yourself. And that's what we are looking for. So thank you so much for this wonderful and insightful session for me also, and the people who will watch this. And please do follow her. Her work is very good, and I hope that her work will let you know with more other things through yoga, meditation, diet, nutrition, and these all things will relate you more other things. So thank you so much to come on our platform, Aditi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.